Alright guys, hope you're all doing well, hope you're all keeping safe. So I've been waiting all day anticipating the Outriders post-launch dev news update, which has only just come out as of about 8 minutes or so ago, about 4:30. And the reason why mainly is because of the stability issues that I've been facing and a lot of people have been facing. Today I actually jumped on some expeditions with a friend of mine, Rogue Gaming, and of the 3 times we tried to matchmake, all 3 had hard crashes back to dashboard on Xbox. Now I thought it might just be because I've got an Xbox One X, but actually he's got a Series X and he's having the same issues. So it might just be something to do with matchmaking, I don't know, but I want to check it out, see what the devs have got to say. There's some rebalancing stuff in here. They do talk about the stability stuff as well, among other things. So let's get right into the news. Alright, so here is the post. It says, "Hello everyone, we'd like to thank everyone in the Outriders community for your patience, support and assistance. Everyone on the Outriders team has continued to work hard in improving the game, and we'd like to share some news about the things we are focusing on." And then of course we have, please use the below index to jump to the things you're most interested in. So we've got patch news, community appreciation package, inventory wipes and restoration, rebalancing, multiplayer stability and connection, and then launch connectivity post-mortem. So I think the first thing we'll look at is patch news. Alright, so it says here we've been continuing to track and post known workarounds for encountered issues in our launch tracking mega thread, but our intention is of course that workaround shouldn't be necessary. So here's a list of patch news. So first patch, there is a first big patch for the main Outriders game. As of today, deployment of this patch is scheduled for next week. I was using this week to identify as many severe issues as possible, fix them, and then thoroughly test the changes across all platforms. We're doing our utmost to deliver you a stable patch as soon as possible, and we'll continue looking at ways to bring the patch release day a day earlier, which is good, which is why they're not committing to a patch release date. We'll let you know as soon as we have confirmed release schedule. So this is what they've got in terms of patch notes. PC and console platforms, once platforms have been updated to the same patch version, crossplay across platforms will become viable again, which is good news. Overall stability improvements for the matchmaking service, which has to happen because, well, it says here, crash fixtures will fix a multiplayer crash that can result in client players having their inventory wiped. We'll fix the crash when completing a bad day side quest. We'll fix the crash that occurs in no man's land when your language is set to Spanish. We'll fix crash on launch issues. We'll include many more random crash fixes. We'll fix the HUD disappearing in certain cases. I've seen that one. We'll fix bugs that interfere with players respawning in multiplayer expeditions. We'll fix bugs with players getting stuck on geometry. We'll change the default matchmaking setting from open to closed. You'll still be able to manually change the setting to open for your game settings. This will prevent players from joining games where the host didn't intend to play multiplayer. It will also cut down on AFK lobbies. This is good because I've noticed the amount of AFK lobbies I join is crazy. So this is good actually, because this means that if anyone's open, then it basically means that they know they're open, if that makes sense, and so they shouldn't be surprised if someone joins them. This will also help improve matchmaking times, as the queues will be less likely to be overwhelmed by the sheer volume of constant matchmaking requests generated by open games. Okay, good. PC specific will fix a performance issue where GPU is not being fully utilized. This should help with stuttering and DX11 and 12 issues. So overall, this first big patch, really, really good news. So let's go back to the other stuff. So the next one we're looking at is inventory wipes and restoration. I actually covered this maybe Tuesday. We believe that the rate of this bug appearance should be greatly reduced once the upcoming patch has been published. With crash fixes in place, we intend to run a one-off mass restoration. Here are our intentions for this restoration. Restoration should take place on a specific day and should be a one-time event. The exact date is to be confirmed, but we're hoping this to occur in the coming weeks. We'll update you when we have confirmation of date and timings. We'll only be able to restore the most valuable tiers of items, lost, epics and legendaries. We will be unlikely to restore an inventory full of blue gear. That kind of makes sense. The restoration should be additive to your inventory. It shouldn't replace your current inventory. Restored items may not have the exact same stats as the lost items, which is a bit of a bummer. If you picked up an item that you've been keeping because it's it's OP and you lost it, then you may not get it back the same way. Note the restoration will not be possible for items that were acquired but where the game connection was terminated before an autosave could complete, as those items would never have made it into the server inventory hour logs. Such suspended autosaving is noticeable when the yellow autosave icon stays active for a longer period of time. It's a bit of a bummer, that one. Please note that these are intentions that are providing here for transparency. While we try our hardest to make things right, we unfortunately cannot make guarantees for the specifics of the above or the timeline of this, as we may run into technical difficulties that delay our work. The accolades wipe issue is something we're again looking into whether we can run as part of such a one-off restoration or whether we will need to tackle these cases on a one-to-one basis. Accolades are more complex. So, you know, it's good that they're transparent with this and basically saying, look, we can fix some things, we can't fix others, we don't want to commit to a time frame. But it's a little bit of a bummer for those people that, especially this autosave feature where you may have picked some up and it crashed, it didn't save, you've probably lost that at this point. So there we go with inventory wipes and restoration. Alright, so moving on to rebalancing. This rebalancing work can be implemented through backend updates, does not require a patch and will be run during today's maintenance window, which is as of right now. Important balancing is done by a separate team to those who are working hard on preparing the patches. Rebalancing does not impact our progress towards patches or reduce our ability to resolve bugs. General balance notes: Historian, Bounty Hunt and Monster Hunt quest no longer grant legendary items for each subsequent completion. While rewarding players for completing all the Historian, Bounty Hunt and Mystery Hunt quests is still our intention, we did observe unintended results where players repeated this activity in combination with a specific multiplayer bug. With this rewards adjustment, we want to eliminate this exploit behaviour while we're still making that quest line worth the effort. Players who took advantage of the exploit will not be punished. So, yeah, I didn't partake in this. I did the Historian quest line. I got myself my legendary, but I had heard about this, and so for some people that might not be good news, but I think overall it is an exploit, so it probably needs to be fixed. Adjusted loot on specific enemies: Tuka Boss, Split Tooth, Sand Shifter and Cold Claw. These particular beasts are being too generous considering the required effort to take them down, so getting a nerf there on loot. Chem Plant Expedition time for gold, silver, bronze adjusted to 650, 150, 1500 seconds, previously 957, 103, 1650, so that's becoming a lot harder. Boomtown Expedition time for gold, silver, bronze adjusted to 390, 589 and 77. Sorry, that one's becoming a lot easier, and 776 seconds. Previously 422, 607, 792, so that's becoming easier as well. Some expeditions seem to be too generous in their required completion times compared to others. We want to avoid such disproportionate discrepancies, as we believe making all expeditions viable leads to a more diverse and thus more interesting endgame. Sorry, yeah, this is these are going to be more difficult because the amount of time needed to do them is less. Critical rating damage multiplier on tactical assault rifles reduced to 165, previously 175. I don't know why that is. I'll probably say here, critical rating damage multiplier on marksman rifles reduced to 250, previously 300. Marksman rifles with a 300% crit rate showed up to be dominating multiplayer crit builds. By making the modifier the same as for bolt action rifle, we want to offer players more options when choosing what gun to use. I'm not so sure we should be making such big changes like this so soon. Duration of the Massacre AP buff has been reduced to 3 seconds. This is temporary measure until we fix an issue with the stacking cap. That's a bit annoying. Bullet abilities. There's quite a lot here. Twisted rounds, blighted rounds, and volcanic rounds. Okay, this is my build in here. Blighted rounds. While we fully intend to provide the overpowered feel for the best builds out there, we also commit to making sure that there is build diversity in the top performing builds. Okay, so what are they doing? Let's find out. The base cooldown of the Twisted Round skill has increased to 25 seconds, previously 16 seconds. So, while infinite uptime on bullet abilities was always our intention, it's intended to be high risk, high reward playstyle. However, given the current power of the skill, there's very little risk involved in this ability given its short cooldown, even when players fail to trigger ammo replenishment. Okay, the Trickster's hero tree nodes: Disruptive Firepower, Scion of Power, Outrider, Execution have had their power reduced to 35, previously 50. That's a bit annoying. The combination of Twisted Rounds increase the firepower on top of the multiplayers provided by the class tree lead to huge increases of damage dealt by this ability. Okay, Vulnerable Status power reduced to 15%, previously 25. Okay, the Technomancer here tree node damage against poison has had its power reduced to 15%, previously 30%. Okay, while the Technomancer's Blighted Rounds do not provide any damage increase on their own, other than ignoring armor as anomaly damage, they do provide an excellent tool for spreading the vulnerable and toxic status, which in turn can stay out of proportion. I don't like this change. I've got to admit, I don't like this. The Pyromancer Hero Tree node, Trial of Ashes, has been reduced 15% extra damage, previously 30. I don't know enough about Pyromancer to comment on that, but I know that I play Technomancer, I do a lot of poison damage, and I'm a little bit... I don't like this nerf because I still don't think it was too overpowered. I've seen plenty of builds which are really strong. There we go. Anyway, Let's move on to the next subject. Okay, so the last one is multiplayer stability and connection. Co-op and multiplayer sessions are a separate matter from solo play connectivity. Launching a multiplayer session requires multiple different partners and services. For example, matchmaking and queuing are hosted by one service provider, while the peer-to-peer relay is handled by another. Other components are hosted by other partners. This is a normal setup for multiplayer games, but it's important to mention because when we attempt to track multiplayer or co-op issues, knowing exactly what issue appears at what point is vital. The upcoming patches should help alleviate crashes in multiplayer as well as improve stability and speed. Because of the complexity of the multiple systems involved, we will continue to improve and iterate upon these systems in order to deliver you a better multiplayer experience. In most cases, this can and has already been done via the back end without patching the game, but it is something we are keeping a close eye on. And like I said at the start, they have to keep a close eye on this because the multiplayer matchmaking stability connection is absolutely awful. And I think I put out a poll the other day, and I think like 30 to 40% of those people that responded to those polls are still saying they're having issues. It doesn't matter what platform you're on, PC, console, it doesn't matter whether you're on, old gen or new gen, it doesn't matter. The overall matchmaking is terrible. And so I really hope that this most recent patch, which is going live, does help alleviate that. But if it doesn't, they really have to stay on top of this because it gets frustrating when you're trying to go through expeditions and it crashes halfway through when you're playing with friends. And it doesn't just apply to multiplayer either. It also applies to solo. It's happened to me plenty of times. So yeah, there we go, guys. That's about it. Overall, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm happy they've addressed a lot of the stability issues, connection issues, and stuff like that. Some of the balancing seems okay, but I'm not particularly happy with the TECHNOMANCER balancing at all. I didn't think it was OP, as suggested. In fact, earlier on, I did get my first 100 million damage expeditions run, but I didn't have the highest amount of damage in the group that I was in. It was a 3-man group, a random 3-man group that worked. I didn't have the most damage, and I think the person who did have the most damage wasn't a TECHNOMANCER. So there are plenty of other builds that do a lot of damage, and I don't want this to become a trend where some it seems like the outlier a little bit and they nerf it. I mean, the game's not been out for very long. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, but that's it. Thanks very much for watching. Until the next one, Epic out.